Greetings folks, 3Course Thoughts here. Back again with another video. Today's topic, I'm going to be discussing how to make an impact. Now, with respect to making an impact, I'm sure all of you guys have heard these before, especially my millennials out there growing up. I'm sure this was your bread and butter. You gotta make an impact. It takes time. All you have to do is work hard. It's simple. You just have to have a platform, be well known, or that the key words, making a difference, regardless of what craft you're in or what your personal beliefs are and so forth, ideologies and such. Now, following up on that, how many of you have heard of these names? Not necessarily the faces, but the names. Booker T. Washington. How many of you guys have heard this name? W.E.B. Du Bois. How many of you guys have heard this name? Or this name, William Monroe Trotter. How many of you guys have heard these names? I'm going to give you guys a few seconds just to think about it. I can guarantee that at least you've heard of at least two of the names here, or at least one. Most likely W.E.B. Du Bois. But if, and the one that's probably, many of you have probably not heard of as much, or maybe even at all, is William Monroe Trotter. Now, just like the other two figures that you saw before, Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois, William Monroe Trotter also made an impact in the same field as them. So he was born on April 7th, 1872. He went to Harvard. And after which, from graduating, he found work and became involved in local activism. From there, with that, he founded a local newspaper column known as The Guardian in 1901. He participated in the Boston riot debate that went wrong with Booker T. Washington. It got a little physical because there were some disagreements with their viewpoints on activism and how to proceed, in which he gained the attention of W.E.B. Du Bois due to the riots, and who was once a supporter of Booker T. Washington, but then he shifted to support Trotter a little bit more. The two men met up, and with a bunch of other local activists that shared similar viewpoints, they led the Niagara movement. Later on, though, there was a disagreement between the two in their viewpoints that led to dissolution of the movement. And this disagreement set the stage for W.E.B. Du Bois to form the NAACP. After which many years passed, and Trotter still continued to promote his Guardian newspaper column, and he founded his own group that was alternative to the NAACP, but he just didn't keep up with the times. And unfortunately, as the years passed, even though his efforts continued, he unfortunately died in relative obscurity. Now, why did I bring up William Monroe Trotter? I brought him up to show that even though he may not be well known by many, he's probably not celebrating popular culture as much as some of the other figures that have made a quote-unquote impact. But he still made an impact just the same. Had his influence not been involved in the history of events that occurred, there might not be an NAACP. Now, moving on, with respect to impact, questions that you should ask yourself, it's recommended that you ask yourself these questions. You need to ask yourself, why do you want to make an impact? Like, seriously, Ask yourself that question. And this is not only an impact in necessarily making a difference. It could be making your mark in a particular field. You want to be a good basketball player, a great chef, an inventor, a YouTuber, an entrepreneur. You may have your own ideas, your own way of seeing things, and you want to share that. And reach out to as many people as possible. What kind of impact do you want to make? So do you have a vision of the impact that you want to make? That needs to be clear. What are you willing to sacrifice to potentially make this impact? And just keep in mind, the bigger the impact, there's a very high potential that you'll have to make big sacrifices. Sacrifice family, time with family, friends, sometimes being ostracized, being the odd person out. These are things you have to keep in mind if you walk that path. Now, some ways you can do this. You can do this via your circle, your sphere of influence. So people that you know, people that look up to you for mentorship and so forth. You can share your ideas with them, your perspective. Do it for completion of tasks. So basically, let's say you have a required job. Everybody plays a role in life or in the world. So you dutifully complete those tasks, to the best of your ability. Mentorship, like I previously mentioned before. Genuinely standing up for a cause or belief. So you stand up for it even if, you're the odd person out, you're not necessarily popular. That's very difficult to do. And the biggest impact you could probably make is participation in society. So that means is paying your taxes, going to work, and being as diligent as you can. That stuff makes a difference in the sense of the people around you. You may inspire an intern. You may inspire a coworker that might be a little corrupt. You might feel like he might be like, oh, you know what? Maybe this is a good guy. I might not want to cheat him as much. Let me do my share. It does sound very idealistic, I'll be honest with you. But it is an impact, however small it might be. So the rate of the impact or speed, it can vary from fast to slow. If it's faster, just keep in mind that the impact usually would die a lot quicker. And if it's slower, it would have a higher chance of lasting longer, being more timeless. So that's a little inspiration for you guys. If you feel like the impact that you're trying to make is taking longer than you would like, there's a good chance of lasting longer once you hit that hump. Outside of the speed of impact, the level of impact can be big or small. So usually if it's big, it reaches a wide amount of people, affects them deeply. Your big impact, think of like your scientists. They can reach a lot of people with respect to innovations that they make. It can also be small. And for your small impact, it can spark someone else to make a bigger impact. So keep that in mind. So however little impact you think you're making, it's not making as much progress, it can spark someone else to make a bigger impact. With that in conclusion, some closing thoughts. So making an impact is basically about being the best you can be. Reflection on your true motivations. So make sure your heart is in the right place when you're going on this journey of making an impact intentionally. Just keep in mind that if you're going down this path intentionally, it's a relative unknown, especially in the present. So if it looks like you're reaching a lot of people, you don't know exactly where that's going to go 10 years from now, 20 years from now. If you're not reaching anybody, you don't know if outside of your lifetime it'll reach people. You don't know. So try to be as authentic as you can. do your own due diligence with respect to this journey. Do your own due diligence. Make sure you're getting accurate information on where you want to make an impact. Know what the field is, what it's about. Be patient, especially if you don't see any results. Be patient, keep learning, keep growing, because impact is more about a process than the impact itself. It's a journey. And also know that your worth isn't attached to your impact or lack thereof. So if you're not making any progress, you're not making an impact, or you don't see it, that your worth is not attached to that. That's not who you are. That might be a part of who you are at best. Impact is just a goal. So keep that in mind. Guys, that's all I have for today. If you have anything to add on your viewpoints of impact, any thoughts that I might have missed, please add that in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. All right, guys, take care. See you in the next one.